So it's a beautiful day here in eastern Georgia, and I thought I'd go ahead and shoot a video about my favorite modifications for towing with my Toyota Tundra, which is a half-ton truck. And these really can apply to just about any truck and certainly to just about any half-ton. Some of these things will come stock with new vehicles. Makes me a little bit envious, but if you got an older truck, these are relatively easy things to add aftermarket. And we'll go ahead and we'll start down here. I'll start with what is my absolute favorite modification, which are my Firestone Rite airbags that you can see right there. Now there's an airbag on each side. Theoretically, you're supposed to put these in and run 2 Schrader valves to them. I didn't like the idea of 2 Schrader valves. I wanted to run 1. Now there'll be people who tell you, hey, you shouldn't run them to a T and run them to 1 because when you have an uneven load, you're going to tip from one side to the other. Rarely do I have my bed with uneven loads, and also rarely do I corner that fast when I have a load, or definitely when I have my travel trailer in tow. So working with a single Schrader valve works for me. Now, does it mean it works for everybody? No, it doesn't. The other thing that works in conjunction with that to help keep this balanced is that red TRD rear sway control bar that you see right there. And you can see that runs all the way across. Now, I got the TRD bar. I debated, should I get the TRD bar or should I get the Hellwig, which is an aftermarket. Quite honestly, if I had it to do over, I'd probably go with the Hellwig. Not because there's been any problem with the TRD, but the Hellwig's a little bulkier. When I first got the vehicle, I wasn't 100% certain did I want to go stock or not. I knew on their sport models, Toyota made that rear TRD sway bar part of the package, so I decided to go ahead and include it. But similarly, it helps eliminate some of the sway when you're traveling. So my airbags, in conjunction with that TRD rear sway bar, really keep this thing nice and level when you combine it with the weight distribution hitch and the sway control that goes with that weight distribution hitch. My next favorite mod in this vehicle has to do with this Alpine system that you see starting up right here. Now, with this Alpine system, I'm going to tell you that it takes a little bit to come on. Once it does, there we can see it, it'll Bluetooth, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the camera and I'll zoom in on this a little bit for you. You can see the camera there. If I zoom in on it, why it's on right now, and I'm in park. I can also put this camera on. Now, if I go to reverse, it automatically goes to the camera, but I'm going to go ahead and switch it to drive. I switched to drive and it's still on. So when I'm hitching up, especially by myself, this is great. I can go ahead and get this into drive, reverse, back and forth, and you can see it's got this little adjustment right here. Well, I know this top little yellow dot right here, when I center that up on the receiver for my hitch ball, I am right where I need to be, and I can lower that on. Now, a lot of modern trucks, of course, come with things that we've talked about. They come with air suspension. They may come with an anytime camera with multiple camera views, and I'm fairly envious of that, but this allows me to do a bunch of other things. Another thing I like with this is that I can go to my vehicle info. And you can see it hasn't, because we just started it up, it hasn't calculated the tire pressures yet, but it'll go ahead and do that. But it also has these other things, and particularly my transmission temperature is something I like to know. My range here, which I have set for a distance of 32 gallons of fuel as opposed to the 38 that are on here. So I know when this gets down to close to hitting 0, that why we're just about out of fuel. It tells me I've got 180 miles left and I've got, about a third of a tank there. My air to fuel ratio, which is right there, you can see right there, we are close to being at sea level. And then my average MPGs, and I like to know that when I'm towing, that's giving me sort of a real calculated number as we're traveling. This one comes with the stock trailer brake controller. If you read the reviews on that from people who have it, everybody doesn't love it. I think it works just fine for what I do. But hey, everybody's a little different. A lot of people prefer an aftermarket one. That would definitely be a mod at the top of my list. But since my vehicle came stock with it, it's not one of my top 5. Number 5 is right here. Number 5 is these little snap-on mirrors. Now, these snap-on mirrors, I don't love the mirrors the way they came. This is just with this piece right here. This piece right here, it vibrates as you go down the road. It's not any more view really than I have with here. And the stock mirrors are actually pretty good for just towing and traveling down the road. I can see all the way down the side of my trailer without a problem. But when I add these convex mirrors right here to this area, and these stick on, and I stuck 2 of these on here. Now I really get a great view all the way down the side of the vehicle, as well as, I'll show you from my driver's position. From when I'm sitting in my driver's position, that also gives me a nice view as I'm traveling down the road of the traffic coming up next to me. So I'm really happy with that. And those are my 5 favorite mods that I did to this vehicle. And to any vehicle, really, if you don't have these things, you can add them. Now, could I add a true trailering mirror here? I absolutely could. My issue with it would be getting in and out of my garage spot. At some point, I would knock into that mirror so many times that I would knock it off or do damage to the wood trim around my garage. So this actually works for me. And also, what I like about these caps is, I'll show you here, is this black plastic that they come with. Doesn't look so bad, doesn't look so obnoxious, and it protects the chrome mirror caps that are in there. So as I'm traveling down the road with that, it really gives it a pretty nice overall look. If I were to add a 6th mod, this isn't really a mod, but it would be these Michelin LTX MSs here. I would tell you that this is, for a half-ton truck, this is an ideal tire. If you're going to be doing towing. Now I have this with my original 20-inch wheels, and if I had only a 17 or 18-inch wheel, I would definitely go to a light truck tire. So if you have some mods that you really like, that you think are, specifically for trailering and towing, tell me about them. Tell us about them. I'd love to hear some other ideas, and maybe it's something I'll end up deciding I need to add to my truck here.